All right, have a round of applause for TLC. And there are scones, courtesy of Hinz Dough to Go. So they're right across the Riverwalk here. If you haven't been there, or at least go one more and try a scone. And I think I'm done welcoming you, so I'm going to hand it over to Scott.
David's done, but I'm not. Welcome. We're glad to see you back. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you got a chance to go out to the memorial this weekend and honor our fallen vets. But we're glad you're back. We're glad for our speakers today, and for our 5-minute mic speakers today. We're going to be having the Scandinavian Festival princesses give us a little speech today too. So it's going to be an exciting, packed morning. So first I want to introduce our newest members. We have Stacy Stahl has opened Mess Hall Market and Yummy Lou's out at Pier 39. They had their grand opening this last weekend, but it's a great little shop of cotton candy and caramel corn and all sorts of goodies on an outside window, and then they've taken the mess hall and turned it into a nice mess hall market where you can go get all sorts of food items, take them out to the beach like s'mores and do some cooking out there. So lots of great stuff out there. Stacy's not here this morning, so I just said a few words about that, but now I'm going to pass the mic around and let our members introduce themselves. So
our job seekers and our college students. We had 80 employers. We had many volunteers. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, David. Thank you, many others who helped with that. Very, very successful. And last week we had our CEDR Awards event. I just want to name quickly here the Astoria-Warrenton winners who won last Thursday. Well, we have Lisa Reed right here from Lucy's Books. And then the other Astoria-Warrenton winners, Gaetano's Market in Delhi, Encore Dance Studio, Monte Alban Mexican Restaurant, Holly and Kevin McCone from Holly McCone Jewelers, Moe's Clatsop County Restaurants, Columbia Bank, J.M. Browning Logging, and the Skip Hockey Award, our very special award, was Margo Lalich, who won that, our public health director. It was very, very special evening for everybody. And check out our Facebook page for more details on that. And I'll turn to Jessica and then Misty.
Good morning, everyone. At the Small Business Development Center, we have 2 workshops coming up. One is next week, and it is a great, informative and fun conversation with the HR directors from Fort George, Beach Books, as well as Columbia Hospitality. So they're going to be talking about how to hire and retain workforce effectively. All 3 of those organizations are doing a great job of engaging their workforce. So that's next Tuesday. It's a no-cost webcast. And then our summer series is going to be a digital marketing boot camp. So that is the one course that we are going to offer. It's 4 parts, 3 classroom sessions, plus a lab, working with our digital marketing expert, Ian Reed. And that is going to be $99, and you can find out more information. I have flyers here. Thank you.
Hello, just a quick update on the really exciting numbers that we have for Clatsop Works this summer. So we ended up with a total of 26 employers who are offering internship positions with a total of 59 positions. And then we had 85 students who have applied for these internship opportunities. So it's really exciting, and the employers are now in the process of interviewing and hiring for these positions.
thank you. Yeah, we have 2 interns starting next week, so we're excited about that too. We're participating in that. So if you haven't reached out already to Misty, do it. It's worth it. Great students up in line. So just a couple announcements. We have a business after hours coming up June 9th at England Marine. And then we also have June 23rd at Wildlife Center of the North Coast. So mark your calendars for that. There's going to be 2 great events at 2 great locations. So make sure that you put that on your calendar and we'll see you then. But it's our special and our pleasure to introduce the Scandinavian Festival princesses. And we're going to let them each say a few words about what they have going on. So, Abby.
Good morning, I'm Abby Johnson. I'm this year's senior court chaperone. I'll just pass the mic down and let each lady introduce themselves.
I am senior Miss Denmark, Ava Osborne.
I am Braylee Tellen, senior Miss Norway.
I'm Kaisa Lulima, Miss Scandinavia.
I'm senior Miss Reed and Kaylee Fleur.
And Senior Miss Finland, Olivia Esnard, is not with us this morning. She is a student at Seaside High School, so they are together this morning regarding the loss of their music teacher over the weekend. So, on a lighter note, we're here to talk about the 2022 Scandinavian Festival. We're very excited to have you all join us June 17th, 18th, and 19th. As Lauren mentioned, the dedication of the Astoria Nordic Park will be on Friday, June 17th at 10:30 in the morning, I believe. So sounds like we'll have a really big crowd out there to dedicate the park and all of those who immigrated to this community and made it what it is today. So I will pass it over now to Miss Scandinavia 2021, Kaisa Lillenwall, to let her tell you a little bit more about what's coming up at this year's festival.
Thank you. So we have a lot of fun events planned in 2 weeks. On Friday night at 7 p.m., we'll have the Queen's Coronation, where these lovely ladies will give their speeches on what their heritage means to them. Following that, there will be a hex burning, where we burn hexes to bring us good luck in the new season. And there will be a Queen's Ball, has a lot of fun dancing, music, food after that. Saturday, more festivities begin. There is a parade of costumes featuring all kinds of costumes from Scandinavian heritage. On Saturday night, there will be a Canadian tribute band to ABBA that will be performing. Special tickets are required, but you should find those on the Scandinavian website. And then Sunday, there will be a raffle. We'll be selling tickets throughout the weekend, but you can buy one for $1, $6 or $5 for $15 for $12. What else am I missing? There's an Adelsgaver eating contest. And then throughout the weekend, there will be performances by the Viking Nordic dancers, the Brownsmead Flats, and the film shots. Thank you. Thank you all for having us today.
Thank you, ladies. We really appreciate y'all being here today and letting us know everything you got going on. I sure am excited about heading out to the Scandinavian Festival this year, and also for the opening of the new park, and also for shipwreck over at the Columbia River Maritime Museum. And in fact, what a great segue into our raffle prizes that we're going to be giving away, and then we'll introduce our speakers for our next for our main presentation. So let me grab these wonderful tickets. Everybody got their tickets in here, right? So I'm going to let Regina pull one out of there. It's for a wonderful mug and some chocolate coins from Columbia 302. Number 302. Ooh, Lauren, all right. Down. Greg, you want to pull one of those red tickets out of there? It can be yours, it's okay.
One off, 298.
298. Number 298. All right, Melissa. Congratulations. All right, I'll get this Regina. Well, I'm going to pass that to you. Yeah.
Good morning, Regina Wilkie, your marketing manager for the Chamber of Commerce. Today's topic is tourism, so I get to do the introductions. I'm super fun. The Lower Columbia Tourism Committee, I know that not a lot of people are familiar with. It's a branch of the Chamber, and it was established as the committee to promote Astoria in its original days. I want to say the late 80s, early 90s. And expanded to include Warrenton shortly after its establishment and became the Lower Columbia Tourism Committee at that time. The goal of the committee is to reinvest transient room tax dollars into establishing the Astoria-Warrenton area as a destination at that point, and now to kind of maintain and manage that destination. We have adapted our plans and our work to fit the current economy, travel trends, needs of the community, etc. And we do so by leveraging timely topics like the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial that we had a little while ago, establishment of new attractions like the High Life Adventure Zipline Park, and then touching into things that people have known and loved for a long time, like the 60 years of the Maritime Museum, and those off the beaten travel tips, off the beaten path travel tips too. The LCTC consists of 15 members, representing both the communities of Astoria and Warrenton, primarily folks in the travel industry, so your restaurants, lodging, attractions. We've got someone from the AAA travel agency with us right now, as well as a representative from each, the city of Astoria and city of Warrenton. So that's kind of what the LCTC is and why we're sort of hosting this breakfast today. If you are interested in learning more about the committee or even being on our board, let me know. We do change out our membership and have 3-year terms, and each year we have a few people that need to renew or be newly elected. So I will give you introductions to our 2 speakers, and then they'll kind of tag team for the presentation today. Our second speaker will be Marcus Hinz, the Executive Director of the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. Marcus is responsible for meeting the objectives outlined in the Regional Tourism Plan, and he continues to build OCVA's host of business and marketing services for tourism operations, helping people more effectively participate in the tourism economy and align their efforts with state and regional tourism priorities. Marcus is known for his ability to bring people from diverse backgrounds together to meet common goals. This is best exemplified by the annual People's Coast Summit, which convenes stakeholders from the entire 363-mile-long coast. And our first speaker will be Greg. Greg Robeson is president of Robeson Communications, a firm providing a full range of marketing and advertising services to clients in the Pacific Northwest. Greg has over 25 years of experience in the Pacific Northwest. He's been a featured commentator on Kink FM with humor and lifestyle segments. Highly regarded among his peers in the marketing industry, Greg has received numerous awards and recognitions for his marketing campaigns for work on projects like the Oregon Bounty campaign and with numerous of Portland's nonprofit community. Greg has worked with the Lower Columbia Tourism Committee, the LCTC, since 2010. So we're excited to have him as one of our partners in helping us tell our message and make sure that we're heading in the right direction. So with that, I will turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, Regina. It's great to be here. What a beautiful day to be up here on the northwest Oregon coast of the Columbia River. As Regina said, I've been involved with Astoria-Warrenton for about 12, 13 years. About 10 years before that with Travel Oregon on marketing Oregon as a destination. I'm a 4th-generation Oregonian, grew up in a town about just very much like Astoria over in Central Oregon. 2 one-way streets with a couple, 2-story buildings on line. So I grew up with this type of environment and this type of community. So I not only understand it from a wanting to get people to come here to visit, but what it's like to be a resident when those visitors come. So I've always been very attuned to that as we kind of plan what we do. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we've done for Astoria and Warrenton, and then Marcus is going to take a little more broader look at tourism in general and trends and that sort of thing. But I thought what I would do is walk you through quickly what we have done over the last 10, 12 years in terms of packaging Astoria and Warrenton for the marketplace of tourism. When we got involved in the late 2000s, the advertising and branding for the community was very busy. There were a lot of messages going on there. A lot of it was about what to do and trying to get, that was I think a tendency for a lot of communities is to try to say everything rather than just what really that number one thing is you want to get out there about yourself. So we simplified things. We started to focus on and decided that our brand was going to be built on really interesting people and put into the really interesting, often dichotomous places within the Astoria-Warrenton area. So we had the fisherman in the coffee shop, and the violin player at the bridge, and the chef at the Iredale. This one you might recognize here too. She's a kayaker who we shot here for those particular ads. The branding promise that we came up with at that time was rich, rustic, and real. We wanted to make sure that everything we said about this community conveyed that. Our positioning line was pure character in terms of what this place meant from a historical standpoint, what you'd find, but also what you'd meet in terms of the people you'd see. We turned those photographs into ads called "This is my Astoria, Find Yours." So we were inviting people to come experience this place the way that the people who already lived here did and find their own Astoria-Warrenton. In 2011, we began moving beyond just the traditional ads, as you saw before. We started looking at the digital space, same ads there. We also started doing promotional, sponsored content. You got to remember, this is at the beginning of what we see now in terms of digital marketing, where this was sort of the beginning of being able to really target people, and we're miles away from that now with Facebook knowing exactly what you're thinking every second and serving you ads because of it. So this was in the beginning of that. We'd often tie our advertising into content that we wanted to be part of, in this particular case, tourism. We did promotions a lot, where it was a lot about building content for our website, and that would go into promotions. So we would do content about beer, and we would do promotional paid advertising and promotion about beer, running videos and inviting people to come and enter a contest. We also, from 2012 to 2015, really focused on optimizing the website. What we were finding is that people, when they were requesting here, they were really wanting to see what was going on. So our goal was to get Astoria-Warrenton to the very top of web searches when they were looking for something to do on the Oregon coast. So again, we optimized that. We reshaped. We started to look at the mobile experience. This is as we're getting into things being now on your phone. So we're moving everything into a mobile format for our website. And then we fast forward to 2017, and at that time, just like anything, it's time to look at ourselves again. And this is not an uncommon thing. You know, major brands do this all the time, where they will subtly update their look and feel. And so we felt it was time, after 7-8 years, for us to do the same thing with Astoria-Warrenton. So we went out to our stakeholders, everyone that was part of the LCTC, the people, the shop owners, everything. And what we really learned was that the things to do, it was being covered. There were, you could find what to do here in 1,000 different places and have thousands of results in a Google search. So we decided to focus on more what it's like to be here, not do here, and focus on that part of really getting away. We looked at the words that we felt were really important that described Astoria-Warrenton, things like salty and quirky and eccentric and breathtaking and mighty and perspective and those sorts of things, those words that really tended to jump out at us. We looked at our photography style, and we moved from that kind of staged photograph where we were creating the scene to looking at the scene of Astoria-Warrenton through the eyes of the people who come here. So you'll notice a lot of this was again at the beginning of when Instagram was really starting to take over as part of the way that we share our tourism experiences. And we decided, you know, we found this look and feel that we really liked. We created pillars for what this experience of Astoria-Warrenton was: history, heritage, authenticity, stewardship, legacy, integrity, awe, reverence, wonder, confidence, discovery, transformation, and shift. So all of these have a little bit more to do with the experience, but we wanted to make sure we were true to the history, the fact that people wanted to keep it the way it was, the fact that when you were here, you were awed because it was an amazing place, that the people hadn't changed, that there was still this wonderful quirkiness about the place that wasn't going away, and we wanted to keep that. And then lastly, that when you come here, there would be some sort of transformation or shift. As we looked at the two communities, we really came up with soul as being what really connected the two communities. We looked at our website, or our logo, and took what we were doing and refreshed that. Really wanted to focus on this red flag. We had element before, take this block print that was really reflective of the historic nature of Astoria-Warrenton, and then we upgraded our ads to being this more peaceful. What does it feel like to be in Astoria? Our tagline became soul inspired, because that's what we felt that you would get when you were here, and no matter what you did when you were here, when you left, you would feel that sense. COVID comes, and obviously we've got to figure out how to react. We spent a year and a half focusing on the safe travels parts of things, still keeping ourselves out there, still keeping top of mind, but really focusing on when you come here, be safe. And then for 2022, we decided to expand the inspired to soul energized, soul nourished, and soul calmed, because there were different parts of what that experience would be. We continue to do ads now, primarily in Portland and Seattle. We're doing media outreach. David's doing great TV work here, and we're still keeping ourselves relevant in these best places types of stories. Instagram is a really big part of what we do. Again, that's where we were able to share, make connection with people who are here, and they're doing the same when they're leaving here. We've seen our following increase about 35%. And then for today and beyond, we're looking at ads, continuing to do ads. 14 million paid impressions will be happening this year. We've got almost 90,000 website visits, 90% of those which are unique, new people, lots of media stories leading to over 1 billion impressions. Influencers is something we use a lot, where we bring people in where they have followings themselves, and they come, they post while they're here, and we get to ride their coattails. And again, so Instagram here, we're continuing to build that, and we'll continue to build that. So thank you very much. That's an overview of kind of where we've been in the last decade plus, in a really tough market. We came in just after 2008 with the crash there, and made it through COVID. Looking forward now to the next 10 years.
Thanks, Greg. That's wonderful, really inspiring work. Did everybody hear me? Whoa. Okay. My name is Marcus. I'm the director of the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. And as Regina said, we'll cover the entire coast all the way from Astoria to Brookings Harbor. And today I'm going to talk about the state of the North Coast and some trends. And thanks for getting all the beautiful, inspiring stuff out of the way. Yeah, follow it up with some numbers. Then I'm going to talk about some trends and kind of patterns of visitor spending and behavior when they're here. All right, so I realize probably nobody can actually see the graph, but this graph goes to 2021, and the travel spending is right here. So you can see software really went up even during the pandemic, probably because everybody was online, using stuff. Tourism did take a hit, but check that out. I mean, we're in statewide numbers. We're recovering, and we're still one of the most relevant industries across the state. So I'm just going to talk about some trends and with like what's ahead. what we should be thinking about. These are numbers that are from Dean Runyon, and I know it's pretty dense when I explain it to you. I printed out the North Coast report from Dean Runyon, and I have it back on the table back there, just in case you're so inspired by these numbers you want to actually pick that report out. What I did is I pulled them apart and reorganized them so it could tell a little bit more of a story. So we're not going to go over everything, but the first column is 2014 to 19, and this is the growth rate of spending on these different types of lodging. Look at that 18, 14, 12% growth rate over that period of time. That's pretty tremendous. And check out hotel, motel, short-term rental there. 2017 to 19, it kind of slows down a bit. But by 2019, this is how much people staying at hotels and motels were spending. So what this chart communicates is people spending by the type of lodging you're using, which is kind of interesting. If you think about campgrounds, that makes sense, right? Because maybe you kind of buy your groceries at home and you go to the campground and stick around, whereas in a hotel you're around town, buying things. And then 2021, it's picking back up, 10, 15%. Look at this, day travel is growing by 37.7%. That's pretty tremendous, and we all feel that, right? We can all feel that. So these are just some summaries. This is going to go out after, so I'm not going to read them all to you, but it's going to be in the PowerPoint. And one thing that I did a survey of lodging partners on the North Coast, just say, hey, have you noticed the change in visitors? And there's no hard data on it yet, but I think we also see the license plates, and we know international is down, of course, and national travel is way down, but regional, in-state and regional travel is way up. So they've definitely, the more local drive market has replaced our traditional visitors to a large extent. So, and this is basically spending by type of product. And I just wanted to point out, in 2019, visitors coming here on the North Coast were spending $345 million annually on food and food services. So that is the top category. It's it was above lodging. And that flipped a bit for 2021. Lodging has overtaken food, and I think we can guess why, labor, supply chains, and whatnot. But it is picking up, and food services is picking up quicker than, say, retail sales, arts, and entertainment. And by the way, I found this to be interesting. Oregon's percentage of hotel motels are 65% across the state, but on the North Coast, it's 81%. So that's pretty neat.
I got a question on the North Coast. The rest of them now, can you define the North Coast?
Yeah, it's basically Nesco to Astoria. So, and we maintain those boundaries, and they're the same for state parks and also regional solutions. I don't know who made them up, but they're all the same for different agencies. And again, I'm not going to read this, it'll be in the PowerPoint that goes out, but just some things about the data and what it's telling us, just to break it down nice and easy. So I want to talk about workforce. I know this is about state of the North Coast, but in many ways this is really a national story. And if you've been reading the papers, it's labor shortages, every profession, in every city, in every state. So there's a backstory to what's happening. You pick up on little, parts and pieces of this in the news, but I wanted to put it all together so it really makes sense, and why I'm saying this labor shortage is not going away. It's just not, for a very long time. So you might not know, since the 1960s, birth rates have been declining steadily and consistently, and I believe are still declining. So in the 60s, it was almost 19%. 2020 census, 7.3. This is less than half. And when I first started this job, people were talking about workforce shortage, back in 2012. It just wasn't so pronounced as it is now. But it's been slowly kind of getting worse all this time, just by the declining birth rates. in our country. Then you have mass retirement. You know, the past couple of years, 28 million baby boomers retired. And a lot retire every year, but way more. The pandemic just pushed them out. They're like, I'm done. And so what happened? People internally get promoted. And in most places, I've not heard anything about shortage of mid-level or upper-level managers. It's almost always frontline staff, like that, you know, kind of entry-level positions, which are really tough to fill. And then we have to layer on the pandemic. So we've had, just touched on about 1 million people have died, so those human beings aren't here anymore. And then we're slowly learning about long COVID. So everyone who's really fallen ill and been hospitalized, about 10% of all of them have really severe long-term symptoms. Many of them are being prevented from getting back into the labor force. And that's a lot. We don't know exactly how many. I'm just estimating that's probably in the tens of millions. And then international workers, students, there's 20,000 less. New enrollments has been cut by 43% down, so student workers aren't here. Then, and new legal permanent residents down by 32% nationwide. So there is literally less human beings. Like, they're just not there. And so there's a lot of testimonials, oh, it's the stimulus checks, or it's this or that. There's a big backstory, and I just wanted to put it all together in one spot to make sure, you know, people knew what's going on. And the point is, demand for almost everything has increased. So think about it. You know, a lot of boomers who retire early. Well, if you retire early, that means you got like some money, and now you have a lot of time, you have a lot of money, and you want to do things, and you want to buy things. So at the same time, the shortage has happened, demand has gone up. So kind of a double whammy there. So I just wanted to point all these things out because that has to do with our planning, right? We have to run businesses, we have to run agencies, and if we're sitting around waiting for the labor shortage to fix itself, not going to happen. I probably should have went first, and then Greg probably should have went second. See, yeah, sorry about that. So, you know, what's ahead? Demand's going to remain high, and labor shortage will persist, and supply chain issues will also persist. So, you know, what's a person to do about that? Well, we're left to just look to find efficiencies in everything we do. And you can look around and see what businesses have been doing. Like, everyone's been adapting and doing some pretty interesting things. A lot of self-check-ins at hotels and motels now. You know, and we're in the hospitality industry. We want someone there to be there to greet the guests, but something's got to go because the human beings just aren't around. Infrastructure investments, I think, you know, we're going to have to be a little more self-reliant on things that come from far distant lands, especially really, you know, key things. And then food production, equity, and security. I think, you know, we really need to start thinking about what do we grow here and distribute here. During the pandemic, you know, the trucks stopped coming over the hill, and we saw what happened. And the further down the coast you went, the worse it got. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants and even food stores and grocery stores that just closed because they could not get inventory. So just a few things there. These are actually opportunities. I see, you know, the opportunity to build in efficiencies as a really good thing. For those of you that don't know, I run a kayaking guide service down in Tillamook. It's been about 19 years, and the pandemic hit, and I'm like, whoa, what do I do? And I found all these things, you know, that I should have did 10 years ago, honestly. Like all these efficiencies and streamlining my processes. Like, I should have did them 10 years ago, but it took the pandemic to force me to do it. So I think there's a lot of options. And I also believe we just really need to maximize capturing the dollars from the visitors that are here. A lot of it goes away. It's called economic leakage. You know, they come here and they spend money on Atlantic Top. Inventory gets ordered and the money goes to the East Coast. Things like that. So I'm thinking on that huge number of food services and food stores, about 345 million. I think we lose about 30% of that every year. Because the food we're selling is not from here. The food we're selling is someone else's food. So as soon as it hits the cash register and it gets reordered, the money's gone. So 30% of 345 million, really bad at math. Kevin, please help me out. I know you're good at math, but it's a lot. So those are just some trends that like our agency is considering. In communicating with industries, we're kind of like a business to business. We're an association, and so we do have marketing. We do communicate to visitors, but we also collaborate with partners on the ground, like Astoria-Warrenton Chamber. And there's 29 cities and like 20 plus DMOs like Astoria, and we're all trying to figure out what's happening in the space. So I just wanted to share a few things that I'm considering coastwide. Yes.
So from your perspective in regards to infrastructure investments and the impacts of all the visitors coming to the area on infrastructure such as roads, wastewater treatment facilities, all of that kind of stuff, what is the perspective on that?
Yeah, could everybody hear the question? Yeah, that's great. Big impacts by visitation, especially around transportation. I think there's, we have the North Coast Tourism Management Network that's working on making sure visitors are aware of all of the public transportation options. But that's probably not going to be enough. I think someone could incentivize a private sector. I like private sector solutions. Shuttle from the valley. I think that the marketplace is there for there to be one bus an hour coming from Portland, going either down 30 through Astoria, Seaside, Cannon Beach, and back, and vice versa, which would prevent hundreds, if not thousands, of vehicles from being on the road. So there are solutions, I believe, that are in our grasp to ease congestion that are really big picture. Also, our association has spent close to $600,000 on trail maintenance and repair. So we do more than marketing. We also do destination development, infrastructure. So that's Trail Keepers of Oregon, who are training volunteers and spending money to fix and repair trails for U.S. Forest Service and for state parks. So we do things like that as well. We try to really mitigate the impacts of visitation because we know they occur, and we want to take responsibility for our industry and capture as much benefit and reduce the negative impacts. So, did I answer your question?
Mark, also from a Astoria-Warrenton standpoint, we have pretty much from the beginning focused all of our dollars on the shoulder seasons. We're pretty much done for the year and won't pick up again until September, October. So the summer takes care of itself, and certainly no one wants to add more cars than the streets can handle. So from a tourism marketing standpoint, we don't even try to go after those dollars or those visitors during the summer months.
Yeah, and that's the same for our, like we haven't done inspirational marketing like, hey, this place is awesome, come here, for over half a decade. Now it's more like, we know you're coming, and so while you're here, think about these things. And we do focus on the shoulder, and Greg's been just masterful at communicating the character of communities. And it's really now about who you want here. So, honestly, as long as the population in the valley keeps growing, and there's a big, gigantic blue thing here called the ocean, and Google Maps continues to work, there's nothing you can do. Now it's sorting out who you want here and inviting the people you really want here based on the love of what this place is. So that's how we try to operate in the marketing space. Yes?
So, in your DNA submit, the J centers are increasing at 37%. So what are you doing to, A, from a marketing standpoint, mitigate that? And what are you doing to lobby with the municipalities to support parking infrastructure development?
Yeah, great question. Could everybody hear that? Okay. One is our agency does not market within the state of Oregon. We do public relations, and we do like management communication, like we know you're coming, so think about these things, be kind to the coast campaigns, such as that. But our marketing dollars, because they're state dollars, we spend outside of Oregon. So the day trippers are not being inspired from our marketing dollars. Despite that, we know they're coming, and so we collaborate with communities to try to mitigate that. Meanwhile, you know, every city and county has a little different character depending on the personalities of the leadership. And so where they are willing to collaborate with us, like we really do. You know, we've rented garbage bins for locations at certain trailheads because we know there's an impact, and you know, if a location can't do that, you know, we try to chip in. So we do that trail building and maintenance. We know there's an impact. We spend a lot of money. Right now, we're spending a lot of money on food systems. You know, we've built mountain biking trails. We've scraped trails like through the hills and built ramps and kiosks, and we've spent money on infrastructure for that to get bikes on the trail. So, you know, I've been making to the case to the state. It's like, well, why aren't we? Food is clearly the biggest spend, so why aren't we investing in the food system infrastructure? And so recently, we've been doing that. There's a Business Oregon article back there on the table. We conducted a 2-year study and research to find out that 90% of the seafood and aquaculture products sold on the Oregon coast are not from Oregon. 90%. And it's very definitive, it's a big study. So like just knowing that, how do we keep more local seafood local? Like how do we get, you know, more money from a tremendously valuable resource instead of sending almost all of it away? So those are the types of things that our agency does, kind of in the middle of the food chain between like the coast and the state. Did I answer your question?
Well, I think the parking situation, but you know, particularly I'm looking at like Seaside and some of the Cannon Beach and this further south, and even Astoria as well, and what, you know, parking between issues with all the cars.
Yeah, you know, like we don't, and I did see your hand, Kevin. So we don't own any land, and like, well, you know, we've been talking to the communities. We'd be willing to collaborate with FEMA and put in a 4-story parking garage, which would also be a vertical evacuation. So we could reduce congestion, we could increase safety for residents. It could be community space on the top. Like, but we can't do that. We need someone to actually collaborate with us, and that's the tough part. So, Kevin.
Yes, Mark. So we have something called the Goonies here, right? There's a 37th anniversary, Regina, this year. In your responsibility up there on the Oregon coast, is there anything else that's iconic as the Goonies, just as an example of? I know we have our festivals, of course, but the Goonies is pretty special. Is there anything else in your responsibility up there on the coast that parallels that, or?
There's nothing as awesome as that.
There's that big blue ocean out there. I think it rivals the
Yes.
Marcus, could you explain to everybody where Aqua fits in versus our LCDC DMO and Travel Oregon?
Yeah, it's really confusing. It is. So like I said, we're kind of in the middle of the food chain, if you will. The State Tourism Commission, appointed by the governor, then every 6 years appoints an agency to represent a whole region on their behalf. So we're funded quite a bit by state lodging tax dollars, the 1.5%. And you know, for every like $100, 20% comes back. So you know, we get 20, the coast gets $20 back for every 100 spent. We negotiate a plan with Travel Oregon, and about 5 years ago, they actually changed our name from Regional Marketing Organization to Regional Management Organization. Again, the whole industry is realizing impacts, and like the industry's grown up, and we have to take responsibility for things. So we have a 2-year plan. We're on a biennium, but we base that plan off of a stakeholder effort. And this is really important, and the coast should feel proud about this. There's 7 tourism regions, and every other year there's a really big stakeholder push to get opinions and thoughts from communities. Well, the Oregon coast of all of the stakeholder feedback across the whole state, the Oregon coast produces 50% of it. Think about that. 50% of all the statewide feedback comes from the coast. And I just stake that up to having great partnerships. So back to David's question, we try really hard to be on the ground. Our staff is all telecommute all the way down to Gold Beach. We don't have a single office. That allows us to be a lot of places simultaneously. And we invest real money. We don't really have a public affairs agency because our public affairs and relations are doing real things for communities, and people notice that. So like I said, we don't have any jurisdiction. We have everything we do and accomplish is in partnership because we can't make anybody do anything. But because of our stakeholder process, we place all of the money coming back from the state based on the stakeholder feedback. So we invest in the things that our community is telling us to invest in. And we also break it down into 3 regions. The South Coast has a slightly different plan than the Central Coast and the North Coast. Right? These numbers that I just went over, they don't look that way for the South Coast. It's a very, very different story. Yes? Yeah, good. Did everybody hear that? Question about, she noted, that was very, very good. She's actually reading everything in it. Yeah, there's a bullet point that talked about a new type of traveler, right? And so when the pandemic hit, things shut down. Like everyone that used to spend $10,000, going to the Bahamas or whatever, were stuck here. And they started traveling locally as they'd never had done before. Like they didn't know how to go camping. I mean, it seems a little absurd, but there's a lot of first-time outdoor recreationalists. Like we looked at the permits from Fish and Wildlife, from like state parks, and like 20-30% first-time purchasers of the invasive species permit for non-motorized watercraft. So there were a lot of people out there who were out there for the very first time, like not really knowing what they were doing. And so, it's pretty offensive when there's garbage everywhere and people are, doing what on the trails. Not excusable, but the point is they didn't know how to plan. Like they just, so it was a new type and they didn't really get the courtesy piece and the etiquette piece, right? And the planning piece. That's gonna take care of itself a couple times. Like, they come out again and it's like, oh, I didn't plan again. People do that. But that's what that was referring to. It's like kind of first time local travelers. Yeah. Yes?
So how long do you think that'll happen before people start traveling overseas again versus traveling home? Getting any
Yeah, she said, how long will that keep happening? Basically before they go away and travel somewhere else again? I don't know. I think when things open up internationally more, I think they're going to go back to traveling because that was their first, inspiration was to travel somewhere else, like to get out. And I think that'll happen again. But also, I think some of them are like, wow, this Oregon is amazing. I don't know why I didn't just stay here and spend my money here. So, and it's good in the sense that they're not spending $10,000 in a different country. Like we get to keep our money, right? When they travel locally. But it's going to right itself a bit, and our land management agencies learned a lot of lessons too. So, and tourism is changing. Like we're spending, like I said, hundreds of thousands on trail repair. We're a tourism organization, so there's going to be adjustments on both ends, on the receiving end, and then also on the traveling end. Any other questions? Okay, glad I didn't put y'all to sleep with the numbers in the morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, so again, thank you to TLC for providing our copy this morning. I want to make a couple of notes. First of all, thank you both for this presentation, for the work that you do. We absolutely love working with Greg from Robeson Communication and Maxwell PR. They are really responsive for the Lower Columbia Tourism Committee, and we adore working with Oregon Coast Visitors Association. They are a very professional, very organized group of people and do great work with that spending money. If you looked at those numbers that tourism provides to the coast, I know nobody's proposing this, but if you somehow could pull tourism out by the root here, not only would you lose a huge portion of our economy and workforce and what people do for a living, you'd also lose a lot of funding that we use for the basic things in our communities, like fire, police, because all those tourism tax dollars, yes, some of it goes back out for marketing, but 60 to 70% stays within communities to use for whatever they need. So you'd lose a lot of that. Plus you'd lose all the ancillary work that goes on around here, because you can't have hotels without also having plumbers and electricians and delivery people and all of that ancillary work. So it's all very deeply entwined here. The note on the day trippers, Governor McCall declared the beaches public, right? They belong to the people of Oregon. To an extent, that means the coast belongs to the people of Oregon. And so I like the idea that somebody can come out here who doesn't have any money, just have enough money for the gas to get out here and spend a day at the beach with their kids. We should embrace that at the same time that we're looking for people to come out here and spend money. So there needs to be a balance of all those things. So that's just my little editorial. Do we have more things to draw? Okay. So I want to thank you for being here today. I'm going to hand it back over to Scott. Do a couple more.